analyzing the data. I use these three different, though it looks very simple, common terms, but they have a different meanings.
Okay, so I mean, I will not get into details, but I think the crux that Nandu was talking about, and then there are a few other people who talk about in that meeting too, is when we say institutionalizing analytics, it is basically these three pillars as I've shown here, and these three pillars being used across functions as a way of life, whether it is marketing, HR, finance, supply chain, sales, etc., as a way of life in decision making. So let's move to what are the best practices in terms of what we are seeing in terms of how organizations are institutionalizing analytics. So at one end of the spectrum that you see here, and I can't point it, but okay, at one end of the spectrum is functional silos. So most organizations today, or many organizations, right, are having their own. So supply chain would have their supply chain business analysts, marketing would have their marketing analysts, sales analysts, etc., and they would have their functional silos running their analytics group internally. That's one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is a centralized center of excellence in analytics, which helps drive analytics across functions, gets all that data in, processes that data, and churns out and sends insights to these companies, right, or the functions. So that's the other end of the spectrum. And in between, you would have a multitude of models which will say a combination of centralized plus decentralized, which is working with a number of ad hoc business partners, working with some very boutique specialist partners. And I know Bridge Eye to Eye is here. I saw some green uniform, and there are large multinational companies who are working on very specific survey analytics only with companies like yours. There are companies who are getting into just CRM space, wanting to work with ABC. On market mix modeling, they would want to work with so and so. So the idea is it right, wrong? That's not the question. I think it's about expertise, and that expertise at scale. So can you get expertise which is really scalable and is best in class? So that's the idea, and therefore you have some of these multinational companies really working with niche service providers, and that's the other model which stands out in between. Now, some examples that you see here of how some large companies have institutionalized analytics, and we'll talk of one or two more. So a large consumer goods company has a center of about 200 plus people sitting here in India and churning out business insights globally for across their organization, for across functions. And this they plan to grow over a period of time into also doing advanced analytics and predictive analytics. Another large, so this example is when they're doing it all by themselves with a little bit of support from here and there on the niche areas. Another company is doing it with service providers, outsourced it to companies like Genpact or others, and asks them to do a host of work in analytics, including owning their data, owning all of the insights work, and doing also predictive analytics. And these are large engagements of 500 odd plus people who are doing this work in terms of data plus insights and advanced analytics. Some of you are probably here from one of the retailers which has a center here in Bangalore, which does a lot of analytics for their centers in US and Europe. So two large retail company examples where almost 600 plus companies. Now, these are examples where, so retail, I told you, they were kind of pushed to the wall, low margins, they had to consolidate, cut costs, save costs, come out with insights which help drive business value. So clearly there, and now large consumer good companies are getting there, financial services is getting there, and you have a lot of examples in this space, which is a combination of in-house and outsourced models which are for Center of Excellence in Analytics. So here's an example of what we do, and we have a 1,000-member team which works across the gamut of data, insights and reporting, and advanced analytics, processing almost 1.2 billion retail transactions. So we collect point of sale data, what consumer has bought from which store at what price, what promotion, etc. on a daily basis. We collect from almost 170,000 stores across US and Europe. We process that data, and then we churn out reports for a host of clients in terms of insights. And we also do some predictive analytics with which is almost 700 plus projects on the analytics side in every year. What does it mean for this client? It means A, there is a lot of talent and which is in one central location. B, huge amount of cost savings if they did it sitting in US or Europe, and centralization in terms of standardized processes, standardized technology which can be leveraged to scale. So huge benefit that we've seen here. Okay, so before I get to the closing thoughts, I'll again maybe talk of few case studies in the area of analytics and how people who have institutionalized analytics have really gained.
Did you know that 90% of the world's data was created in the last 2 years alone? Did you know every second 2.9 million emails are exchanged? Did you know every month people spend 750 billion minutes of their time on Facebook? Research shows that while 65% of the organizations are effective at capturing data, only 4% use the data they capture. So, how do you use this data to tap into opportunities and make intelligent decisions that will help you outperform your competition? We are Genpact, a global leader in business process and technology management. We pioneered global analytics services and provide end-to-end solutions from data management, reporting and analysis, advanced predictive modeling and optimization. We have an unmatched pool of talent with capabilities and experience across financial services, retail and CPG, healthcare and life sciences, and manufacturing industries. We are today the world's largest analytics organization. We have helped several large global organizations in their journey of industrializing the process of converting data to insights, insights to decisions, and action. Genpact generated $700 million business impact for a global consumer finance company, and a Genpact-designed Office of the Future for a pharmaceutical major provided on-demand data analysis and modeling, translating to gains worth $5.1 million and cost saving worth $4.2 million in just 3 years. A leading global aviation major was provided revenue and profitability models, resulting in $217 million top-line impact and $66 million profitability. And for a data syndication and consumer insights company, Genpact provided master data management, reporting and visualization, as well as advanced analytics, leading to over $40 million annual savings. Genpact is a global leader in business process and technology management that uses process to run smarter operations, make smarter decisions, and use smarter technology to power the intelligent enterprise. The Genpact Impact. intelligent enterprises powered by process.
Okay, so I think as I started by saying that all of technology is of no use, all of modeling algorithms is of no use if you're not able to really create impact in terms of top line, bottom line for clients. And if in today's panel discussion, I think Nanda, who was coordinating the discussion, in one of the closing comments he said was, it's just not about technology, but it's also about people and process. And if you don't get the people side right, which is the talent side, if you don't get the process right in terms of what really is the business process, and if you don't get the strategy right in terms of what exactly is the problem you're trying to solve for, then the 8-10 reasons that we saw in the beginning of the discussion that we had, there will always be, then you will be sitting on the fence in terms of never being able to institutionalize analytics. And it has to drive competitive advantage, it has to drive business forward. And a combination of strategy, technology, people, and process. So I think that's that. And as you saw in some of those examples, it's unless you deliver business impact, and as at Genpact, we kind of almost commit to productivity, to automation, to driving business impact and value. Otherwise, we're not in the game. So that's what I had to say, and I can just kind of pause and have questions. So we have not seen many outcome-based pricing models being used in analytics. It is still a kind of fixed fee kind of models, or maybe the person project based kind of rates. If you move, so if I talk of a bunch of projects that we do, it would be hardly 1 or 2% where we moved into outcome based models. Now, frankly, if you ask me, outcome based models, because the kind of outcome that you could generate through analytics is so huge. You saw the numbers, it's 700 million kind of impact, 200 million kind of impact on top line or bottom line. And even if you got 1% of that or 2% of that, it is huge, right? So, organizations are not ready for it, which is the client organizations. B, the service providers are also not really pitching hard for it, saying that, it's because, as I said, one of the big things is, are you really closing the loop in terms of you saw the impact that you were supposed to deliver? You're not, it takes 3-6 months. So you recommended a particular price, or you said that this is the kind of market mix that you need to follow. But did you actually follow it? What was the kind of results? Nobody is really tracking that in terms of a 3-6 month cycle that it takes. So outcome based models are not so many. We've done some of them where we helped some clients through analytics to prevent revenue leakage. And X million dollars of revenue leakage, we linked it to saying X percentage is what we will get. And so that's work, but as I said, it's very few and far between. It's not too many.
So I would like to interrupt here. It is another time for another tea coffee break out here.
Okay.
So people who want to go and have, so they can go and have the tea coffee at the dining area. And if there are some few more questions, we can continue this session till 4:30. We have Mr. B. Mazumdar with the next presentation. So it's an option. So if one of you want to go and have the tea coffee, you can go. And if there are some questions, then we can carry on with this session.
Okay. Yeah. So there are questions. Yeah. Sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
Help them kind of figure out some of the issues that keep coming up, just as an example. So I was just wondering if there are any projects that you've
Yeah.
done in that space.
Yeah, and just to clarify, when you say customer support, it is about contact centers or
Yeah, I mean contact center is a big thing, but then there's also, more futuristic where you can predict issues, especially for hardware companies like EMC, which was a project that I was involved with, where you're getting a lot of data from, the products that the customers have bought, right? They send all these log files and all. So there is something really, there's a lot
Yeah.
you can do with that data.
yeah.
So yes, it's a lot to do with call centers, but it's also, more futuristic,
Yeah.
automating
Yeah.
support, I
So,
guess.
so the traditional contact center piece, we do a lot of analytics around it, and that's more from a point of view of driving effectiveness in that contact center. And to your point on the futuristic stuff, so we're working on with a very large pharmaceutical client, where we've set up 8 hubs globally, which talk about. So they do consumer listening. What's the consumer saying and talking about their product through any media, whether it is social media, Facebook, Twitter, etc., or emails. They could call up on phone, in whichever way. So we've got agents sitting across these hubs globally, and the idea is to, and not idea, it's actually happening and working, is where they pick up this information and give proactive alerts to the client by filtering and processing these information to say that this is something that your brand is being spoken about. This is where competition is doing, this is where you're doing. This is what the consumers are speaking about, and this is the risk that you carry. So a lot of proactive alerts go in terms of this, and now we have started building in, and as we collect this data, we are doing analytics around it to draw insights from the data that we get. So you're right, and in some form, it's a little ahead of the market. People are not yet seeing the need for it, and when we have taken the same concept to other clients, it's not a immediate yes we want to do kind of thing that they've got, because there are a number of other things that they have on their plates, right? So, but there are, yes, we've kind of started this with one large.
So thank you, Mr. Tanmay Agarwal. Here is a small token of appreciation from Unicom for Mr. Agarwal.
Thank you.
Can we have an applause? Thank you.
Thank you. I hope it was useful.
So the one-to-one questions you can take up in this break. We shall regather again at 4:30 for the next session. Thank you. Hello, welcome back again. This session we have with us Bratmay Mazumdar, Director, Indica and Big Data Analytics from Oracle Business Analytics.
Hi, good evening. I think, first and foremost, let me acknowledge that I get really encouraged when I see guys like you. I believe if I would have been in your place, I did not get this quality of education that you have, the exposure and the technology knowledge you have, probably the best of the cities like Mumbai or Bangalore that you have. Born and brought up in the last and the remotest station of the country called Tinsukia, graduated over there and landed in Mumbai. Jobless, turning around here and there, then a job in Thiruvananthapuram, lucky to get the first telecom swift development company under the guidance of Shyam Pitroda called Transmetics to start working, and life started. But anyway, what I'm going to talk to you is all about life, because the first analytics I learned